Concept of revenue, microeconomics for class 11th. In this chapter, we are going to learn about the concepts of revenue, ideas about different markets, determining the profit of the firm.
Hello friends, how are you? This is Arvind. Today I am going to discuss on the topic the concept of revenue, which is a part of the producer's behavior under microeconomic analysis. But friends, before we start about the concept of revenue, we should have some preliminary idea. And what are those ideas that let us focus here? Now, can you tell me how is revenue related? Now, the revenue is related to production, means the producer. Who is a producer and what is the main objective of a producer? Now, a producer is an economic agent who produces goods and services for maximum profit. And to get the profit, what does the producer do or a farm does? Just you see, when a farm wants to produce the goods and services, that is the output or the product, then he takes the help of various factor inputs like land, labor, capital and organization. That means output is the function of land, labor, capital and organization. And from that factor input, what he produces, whatever the goods and services he produces is known as marginal product or the total product or the average product. Now, after the production is over, then what the farm does, what the producer do? One thing we should keep it in mind, that while he is producing the goods and services, he is making some expenses for the factor inputs. And the expenses made on the factor input is called as cost. And thus, cost is a function of output. C is a function of Q, that means cost is a function of output produced. When a producer produces a given amount of output, whatever the expenses he makes for those production of that output is called as cost. And what are different types of cost? You know that is a total fixed cost, total variable cost, total cost, average fixed cost, average variable cost, short-term average cost and short-term marginal cost. Now, after the production is over, what happens to the producer? Does the farm produce for its self consumption? Absolutely no. When he produces the goods and services, he takes to the market to sell it. And now he goes to the market to sell the product. So, from here, whatever the monetary receipt or the sales receipt he gets from that product is called as revenue. Thus, what is revenue? The revenue refers to the sales receipts or the monetary receipts earned by the farm by selling a given amount of output. Whenever the farm is selling a given volume or quantity of output in the market, whatever the sales receipts or monetary receipts the farm is getting is known as revenue. So, by selling a given amount of output in the market, whatever the money a farm is receiving is known as revenue. Symbolically, revenue is a function of output sold. R is a function of Q, where R implies revenue, F implies the function of and Q implies the quantity of output sold in the market. Now, what is the importance of revenue to study? There are three things which we are going to discuss. Number one is revenue gives us the idea about the price of a product which is sold in the market. So, what should be the price of a particular unit of output when it is sold in the market? Then second, the revenue gives us the idea that what are different types of markets prevailing, different forms of market prevailing, because in a different market the revenue varies. That is why revenue gives us the idea about different forms of market that is prevailing. And third one is revenue determines the profit, because you know the profit is the difference between the revenue and cost, and which inspires the firm to produce the output. And now, if you see what are different variants of revenue, types of revenue, then there are three types of revenue. One is your marginal revenue, total revenue and average revenue. But dear friends, one thing we must keep it in mind, before we start about all these revenues, it is important to note, I have given the note that it is important to mention, before discussing about the revenue, it is important to discuss about the market structure where the product is sold. And here we are going to discuss only about the perfectly competitive market, because price or the average revenue varies from market to market. So, there are different types of market we have to discuss, because the revenue and market both are linked together. So, what we are supposed to do, that we have to discuss revenue and market together. And you see, first we should know about what is a market, because once we know about the market, then we are able to know about the revenue that is prevailing in that market. So, what is a market? A market is defined as a set of arrangements where the sellers and buyers interact with each other for the exchange of goods and services. Nowadays, the concept of market has become wider. It may be offline market, online market, physical market, like and so. And so far as the forms of market is concerned, we have different types of market. That is a perfectly competitive market, monopoly market, imperfectly competitive market, oligopoly market, oligopsony market, duopoly market, duopsony market, several types of market. But so far as our discussion is concerned, we will focus only on the perfectly competitive market, which is in our syllabus. And what is a perfectly competitive market? A perfectly competitive market is a market which is characterized by the presence of large number of sellers and large number of buyers in the market. Large numbers means it has no such specific limit, and the sellers are selling homogeneous product, means the product which is similar in the nature, that is a taste, color, shape, size, design, weight, everything is same, and those products are very close substitute to each other. And very important thing to say, that as the products are homogeneous, the sellers are charging uniform price, that is the same price or a constant price for the product. And keeping that perfectly competitive market, we can discuss the marginal revenue. So, what is marginal revenue? Now, marginal revenue may be defined as the revenue earned by a firm by selling an additional unit of output. When a firm sells an additional unit of output, whatever the revenue he gets from that particular unit is called as marginal revenue. In other words, it is the change in the total revenue per unit change in the output sold. Alternatively, it is the net increase in the total revenue when there is an increase in an unit of output sold in the market. So, formula is that MR of nth unit. Suppose you want to find out the marginal revenue of a nth unit, a particular unit, then the formula is total revenue of that nth unit minus total revenue of n minus 1th unit, or marginal revenue of n equal to del TR by del Q, means change in total revenue by change in output. So, now we in context to perfectly competitive market, what is shown in perfectly competitive market is the products are sold at are homogeneous and sold at uniform price. That is why the marginal revenue curve facing a perfectly competitive market is a straight line parallel to horizontal axis or OX axis or the output axis. You just see the table and the diagram here. When the output is sold as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the marginal revenue, the last part you see that it is a 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, because in perfectly competitive market the price is uniform. That is why you see the diagram also, the marginal revenue curve is a straight line parallel to horizontal axis. Now, if you just go to next one, the total revenue. The total revenue is nothing but it is the sum total of money or the sales receipts earned by a firm by selling a given volume of output. So, whatever the revenue he get by selling a given amount of output is called as total revenue. Total revenue can be found in two ways, in terms of marginal revenue or in terms of average revenue. So, in terms of average revenue, total revenue is equal to average revenue multiplied by the units of output sold, that is AR into Q, and or price into Q, P into Q. Other way, the total revenue is the sum total of marginal revenue, that is a TR equal to sigma MR. And now in the perfectly competitive market, as you know that price is uniform, product is homogeneous, the firm is a price taker. That is why total product curve is a line which starts from the origin and it is a proportional curve. Proportional means it rises in a straight line starting from the origin. Just you see the table, when the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you find that the total revenue is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That means it is increasing in a proportionate way. Now, next is your average revenue. Average revenue is defined as the total revenue per unit of output sold. Means when we divide total revenue by the units of output sold, that is called as average revenue, and the other name of average revenue is called as price. And the formula for this one is TR, as TR is equal to R into Q. So, average revenue is TR by Q or price is equal to TR by Q. Now, similarly in the perfectly competitive market, as the product is homogeneous, price is uniform, the average revenue curve facing the perfectly competitive market is a straight line parallel to horizontal axis or the output axis or the OX axis. And this is the case you see again when the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the average revenue is total revenue by Q, that is your 10 by 1 10, 20 by 2 10, 30 by 3 10, 40 by 4 10, 50 by 5 10, means in all the cases the average revenue is the same. And now if you go to the next one, what is the relationship between total revenue, marginal revenue and average revenue? You will find under perfect competition, as the price is uniform, product is homogeneous, firms are the price taker. That is why the average revenue is equal to marginal revenue, and that is why both the curves, means average revenue and marginal revenue curve, coincide with each other and they are the straight line parallel to horizontal axis. Whereas the total revenue curve is an upward sloping curve and it is a proportional curve starting from the origin. And you see the table and the diagram both here that synchronizes both the thing, that when the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total revenue is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, average revenue is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 and marginal revenue is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And you see the diagram, average revenue and marginal revenue curve are the straight line parallel to horizontal axis, and the total revenue curve is an upward sloping straight line starting from the origin. This is all about the relationship between average revenue, marginal revenue and total revenue in a perfectly competitive market. So, because why we are going to discuss only about the perfectly competitive market? Because it is in our syllabus, and these are some of the questions related to this chapter. You have to solve the problem at your own level, and thank you very much for observing this class. Thank you very much.
Kindly subscribe this channel. You can like, comment and share.